Hello everyone, this is Sudi Burnett. I am so glad to have you guys on my YouTube channel. I have decided that every week I am going to post a video on my website called Truth Telling. Why am I doing this? Because I want you guys to realize that it's really okay that we talk about the aspects of us that we're not comfortable with or we have been struggling with. So today I'm going to be the first one. I'm going to talk about perfectionism, something that I have been struggling with pretty much all my life. And when I was searching, when I was working on my emotional aspects and I was going back, I kind of sat down as an outsider and watched this movie. Pretty much kind of like I rewind all my life and then I sat back outside of myself and watched this movie. From the time I remember, what was going on in my family, what was happening, everything that I was feeling and all that. So when I rewind the movie, I noticed, for instance, that my family were very obsessed with their weight. And since I was the last child in my family, with 10 years age difference from my last sister, so I pretty much grew up as a only child. And I remember that all the time in our house everybody was talking about what to eat, and I'm doing this diet, and now I'm on another diet. And you know, as children, we are just like a sponge, so I was grabbing all this stuff. My mother was a beautiful woman. She had so much grace. I have to tell you that having and raising a child like me, I was a tomboy and did all the crazy thing. She had such a grace about her, and I don't ever remember that she raised her voice at me. It was always this calm voice. But there was a catch there. Since I told you I was a tomboy, I pretty much missed most of the classes till high school. I was in the play yard, I was in the basketball team or volleyball team or whatever activity that was going outside, and she couldn't say anything to me because my grades were really good. But then I was always compared with my nieces and nephews who were almost the same age as me, that look, they're always like number one student, and in swimming they all getting medals and da. So I was really good, I was great, like this was the message that I was getting, but look at them and it could be better. So the bottom line message here, what I picked up, that you are good, but not good enough. So pretty much I was just looking for challenges just to test out myself. So I remember from age 18, I told my mother I didn't want them to provide me with any money or anything, and I was working full-time and being a full-time student. Not only that, I was getting really great grades through college. So I became this, I would say, I find this obsession about breaking records to do everything as fast as I could and the best as I could. So pretty much as I was going on with that system, it became a habit. So when my mother passed away about 12 years ago, of course I had a period of time that I went through the grieving and accepting the fact. But somehow when I got deeper into my emotions, it was suddenly a feel of relief, like, oof, I don't have to show myself up to anybody. I don't have to struggle. I don't have to be the best. But then I realized something else, that although there wasn't that someone that I had to show that I was the best and I can do it all, but that behavior for such a long time already became a part of me. And now it was extremely difficult to let go of that. So later on, when I started working, I always had problem, and I'm going back, I'm still having problem with everyone that I work with. So pretty much a perfectionist living a very hard life, because not only you are doing the best, you are extremely hard on yourself. So I accept the fact that I'm a perfectionist and my expectations is very high and I'm very hard on myself. But I can deal with that for myself. The minute I start working with someone else, now that expectations is still there. And since as human we cannot control other people, then we're going to start having problems. So I remember one time we were doing this DVD, and then the monitor was facing me, and I was exercising, I was checking the monitor to make sure everything is okay, so my hand is not going off hand. And then after we finished, the guy who was taping the DVD, he started laughing. I said, "Why are you laughing?" He says, "For the first time in my life, the monitor is towards the actress instead of being towards the director." And then I sit at the editing time with everyone who's editing whatever project I have. So he started laughing, and he says to me, he says, "You know, you just do your thing, and you direct your program, and you edit your program, and if you could have just handled the camera, then you wouldn't work with anyone else." And I started laughing, and I said, this is pretty much true, because like I said, I can be on time at all time, but I can't expect everyone else to be on time. So today I just wanted to share that, a part of me, because you know, you guys who are my fan, you see everything, or you see me, if I should use that as a better word, as this perfect person that there's nothing wrong. And that's why I want to do this. I want to tell you guys that don't ever trust the picture that you see. Anybody can behave well in front of camera for an hour or two, you know, but it's at the hard time when we have our teachers who are showing up in our lives and they start pushing all our buttons. If we could hold ourselves then, if we could still keep our calm at that moment, then that's the trick. So again, the reason I'm opening this up and I'm going to be having a program as truth telling every week is that we could really be not only truthful to others, but be truthful to ourselves. You know, I know that it's very hard for most of us to start taking off our mask and be naked. It's, as you all see, like a lot of us, one of the nightmares that we have is when we are like walking naked in front of a group of people or whatever. So actually that dream, when we dream that we're naked in front of other people, is when it's like the universe kind of communicating with us and is just saying it's okay to be naked. It's okay to be you. It's people can accept you and love you for who you are and just the way you are. And you don't have to change yourself. You don't have to put a mask on just to be someone else. But since we have a major problem with that, so I wanted to open this up. I wanted to let you guys know that it's really okay for us to be us, and to also share about everything that we think is not good about us. You know, even like I was talking to a friend of mine and she was telling me that she went on this dating and she's been going through a date for a long time. And actually I told her, I said, I would love to have an interview with you for every single date that you go and it's not working out. And she was telling me that this last date that she went on, She was doing all the right thing. And I said, what are all the right things? She says, I try to be very mysterious. I try to let him do all the talking. I ask all the questions. And I said, and these are the stuff that you learned that is the right thing to do. And she was like, yeah, I've been reading this book and I've been talking to this and that. And then suddenly it clicks. The reason that she goes to one date after another is because of all that wall that we put around ourselves when we meet someone else. And it's so hard. So I ask her, is this what you do at every date? And she says, pretty much, yeah. And suddenly something clicks. You know, when we go on a date or when we just meet someone, if we have all these walls around us, how could somebody get through? You know, maybe like 20 years ago it was okay, like because the time was going, the speed of time was so slow. We could go on a date for months, you know, but at this time people are really busy. We all on a rush, we're just going really quickly. The life is going, the energy is different, the vibration is different. People don't have the time to knock down on the wall to get through to someone, right? So we meet somebody right away. This is who I am. You gotta take that wall up. Other people are not gonna have the patience, they don't have the time, they're not gonna go through it. So we have to be ourselves, you know, forget about everything, forget about what the norm is, be mysterious, don't sleep at the first date or for 6 months, or don't do this. We have so many do's and it's not working. So you know why we just go through all this stuff and read all this stuff and listen to do list and not to do list? Because we're not listening to our inner voice. What is my inner voice is telling me? You know, to me, if I'm gonna meet someone, I'm gonna be me. And I don't care if they're gonna say, oh, she's too controlling, or she's asking too much question, or she opened up too much, or she put everything on the table. This is me. I'm not gonna change. And if it's gonna take 20 dates or it's gonna take another 20 years before I have that special someone to come in my life, it's okay. Because people who come to you and they want mystery and they want excitement, those are people who are looking for temporary short-time deal. But someone who wants you truly and is looking for a long-term relationship, wants to get to know you, who you really are. So this is another reason that I want to tell you guys, it's okay to take our masks off. It's okay for us to be naked. It's okay to be sharing, you know. So this is another reason why I'm doing this truth telling. I had my TV show today at Andisha TV, and I said something and I was laughing about it because a couple of days ago I was driving in my car and someone called me. I had a conversation with someone who gave me a job proposal that he could work with me. And then, you know, usually I would say, well, let me think about it and get back with you. But I didn't do that. Right away, I just made a deal. And then after, when I started thinking, I was like, what was I doing? You know, that was a good deal. And so I didn't like what I did. Now, here I am 2 days ago, I'm driving in my car, and suddenly, you know how when you really get engaged with yourself and you're not listening that inner voice, it's just you're just in your head. So, and you know those intimate, deep moments that we have with ourselves is usually not good stuff. It's usually we are being abusive and we are, you know, self-sabotaging. So I start, like, as I'm driving with one wheel, I'm just thinking, what was I thinking? What the fuck, you know? And I was very emotional and everything was coming out, and I'm just thinking, okay, I should call him back now and say I changed my mind and da-da-da. So as I'm going through all these emotions and I'm having this I'm really engaged deeply with my mistakes and whatever I did, Suddenly, at the corner of my eyes, I noticed somebody is just going like this. And I turn around and I noticed this other guy who is driving, he's just laughing at me. So the first thing I wanted to say was to roll down my window and say, I'm on a speakerphone, so I don't look like an idiot, like having a conversation with myself. But then I stopped it. I said, what the F, whatever. So he pointed at me as he was laughing. I started laughing. He said, put your window down. And I put my window down. I said, listen, I had a really intimate conversation with myself. That self-sabotage really kicked in and I was really high. And then he started laughing. He goes, I was doing the same thing. I said, really? He says, yeah. And then he started asking me like, what's your number or stuff? So, I'm not saying this is a kind of thing you could date, but this is like something I'm telling you, that it just started a conversation. I came at the beginning because I thought I might look like an idiot talking about like how I'm having a conversation with myself. But when I was truthful about it, then I believe like every time that we talk the truth, when we live the truth, when we are doing something and saying something that is coming from our heart and we're not in our head, the light, the real light, will manifest itself in our lives. That's why I want to tell you guys to be brave. If you lie to somebody, have the guts to call that person and say, hey, that day when we were having that conversation and I told you da 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 da, I lied to you. You're not going to believe how much life and blessing comes to your life. But because this is like strength training. It's just like lifting weights. Every time you lift the weights, your muscles become stronger. Every time you stop a lie, or if you did tell a lie, you just tell that person, confront that person and say, hey, I lied to you. And this was the truth. This was what I really felt at that moment. But I didn't have the guts to tell you. To your surprise, you will see, I don't know how many percent, it just came to my mind, 99%. I don't know that. So I'm not going to lie to you. But you will see, to your surprise, still will change. And that person would open too. Every time we open our heart, we're just helping someone else to open their heart. Yesterday I was walking, it was afternoon, it was hot, and I was in my cherry mood because I was sitting in the sun, beautiful, it's a spring, and I love spring. I'm a spring girl. I was born in May, so as I was walking and feeling really good, I was smiling at everyone. So suddenly what got my attention is that this older man, there was an ambulance and they were putting him, trying to get him up the ambulance. And I start smiling at him, but his face was very straight. Something told me to just walk over and say, I'm a healer. Can I work on him for a few minutes? But then, that came from my heart. But then I start to get in my head, and my head was like, what are you doing? You're going to sound like an idiot. Those paramedics, they're going to say, no, thank you, we got to get him up and that stuff. But at that moment, I didn't go with my heart. And later on, I regret it. Because if I listen to my heart, if I listen to that inner voice, at the moment that it tells me something, I should do it. Because if every single morning I get up, I told you guys, my ritual, 5-10 minutes, make the connection, ask, how may I serve? So if this is what I do and this is what I believe, then if something comes to me, a hint or a point, I shouldn't stop thinking that I might look like an idiot. So what? That is my ego talking now. That was my ego that stopped me. That no, don't do that because the paramedic might say no or da 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 da. But I kept on walking and I kept on smiling at every single person that I did. I had a conversation. So finally, someone came to me and he says, "You look so cheerful and happy." I said, "Yeah, because I just had a day to myself. I made a connection with the universe. I'm feeling pretty good." And we started having a conversation, and he asked me, he said, "Why aren't other people do the same thing?" I said, "I don't know. I mean, we are so afraid to look each other in the eyes and smile. We are just so afraid to be open." I mean, in the state, I have to say, we're quite good. In LA, people are good. But still here, I see sometimes when you smile, you don't get a smile back. And sometimes I would say I'm walking. I do a lot of walking. Sometimes as I'm walking, I notice that the person who's walking towards me is smiling. And then because I'm not really here, I just come to myself, and then I realize that my face is smiling. Although I'm not aware of it, but my face is smiling, and that smile makes the other person who's coming towards me, although we are strangers to ourselves, which we are, by the way, never strangers. We think we are strangers, but we all know each other. And that's another chapter of spirituality, that how we know each other. Because here we have a little issues that some religion don't believe in past lives, and that so we have so many different lives. We come so many times, come and go. Some people don't believe it, but my belief is that I believe it, because sometimes, you know, when you see a deja vu, like something happened, it's just like a flash, and you're just like, oh my God, this happened before. And while we're here, I want to tell you a story. I do out-of-body experience. So sometimes I do events. You probably see it on Angels of Light or on Facebook page that I said I'll do healing. And there are a group of healers that sometimes I do events and we get together. So once in a while I throw a event at my home and I have people come over. I start with short 3 to 5 minutes meditation, and then I have drummers, couple of drummers are coming over, and then I have a guy who plays didgeridoo, and then we start dancing for 1 hour. I just raise the vibration and I make everybody to dance really hard, to shake themselves. And the purpose of that is that we get out of our head, because one of the biggest challenge in our lives is to get out of our head and to get to our heart. So I do that 1 hour intense dance, making everybody to really shake themselves, so they go into a trance stage, and now they're not in their head anymore. Once we get out of our head, we allow the spirits to enter our body. And sometimes as we are in middle of doing that, I look around, I'm watching, although I am into a trance myself, but some part of me is still conscious of watching to make sure everybody's okay, nobody's falling down or anything. And then I notice people, like when they get really into a stage of trance and they allow the spirit to get in. Do you guys hear my beautiful birds singing? Oh, we are so blessed to be on this earth. It's just so amazing. So anyways, when I watch them and I see that their spirits is getting into their body, it's amazing the movement that they're doing. And sometimes later on when I talk to them, they are like, oh my God, was I doing that? And we have some films when I show them later on, they cannot believe, like somebody who has arthritis could really be doing all these movements, and it's like, that was me, and it's shocking. That's when we're out of our head. And the minute we're out of our head, we don't have our limitations. Those belief systems are not working anymore. Once we allow the spirits to get in, we become amazing. We become that amazing power that we are. So yeah, when I was doing, sometimes when I do an out-of-body experience, pretty much the process is very, I should say, for me, I mean, there are many ways that you could do out-of-body experience, but for me is I start making a connection to the universe. I imagine the universal light is just shining through me, and it just gets to my top chakra, the crown chakra, and it walks through my whole body. It gets to my crown chakra, then throat chakra, then heart chakra, then solar plexus, and then pelvis, and then root chakra. It goes all the way down to my foot, and then it starts. Okay guys, something really funny happens, and I asked my camera guy if I can share it with you guys. He didn't respond to me, but I thought it was really hilarious. You know, in LA we have been dealing with rains. Was it for 3 nights on a row? We had rains, and the ground is really wet. So as we putting our chair in, it kind of sinks into the ground. So as I was talking about my chakra, my camera guy, who has his chair right next to me, he just kind of went woo, and he fell down with the camera, and I was laughing. I thought it was really funny. So hopefully he just find a secure place that he's not gonna sink more into the ground. Yeah, so let's get back. I told you guys this because we are into truth telling, right? So I wanted to share this backstage information with you guys. Okay, so going back, how do we do out of body experience? The way I do it is that I make the connection. I imagine that I'm connecting to the universal lights, and the universal lights start shining down through my crown chakra. This is where my spirituality is. Moves down to my 3rd chakra, my intuitions. Move down to my throat chakras, my communication. Moves down to my heart. Of course, we all know my heart is to feel and to love. Moves down to my solar plexus, the yellow underneath our chest. Moves down to our pelvis. That's where all the ego, my wants, everything, my sexuality, all those feelings are being digested. It's orange. And it moves down to my root chakra, which is red. The root chakra is pretty much being a female or male, or balancing, grounding. All of this thing comes from the root chakra, and the root chakra goes all the way down to my foot, and that's where I imagine that my foot is kind of rooting into the ground, my mother. So, and then I feel that all that light's coming back up. So at the beginning, when you do this practice, you do it slowly. You want to feel the light that is shining through your head and everything that is moving down. You do it slowly. But when you keep on doing it and doing it, and you start to know the energy and you start to feel the energy, shifts really quickly, and then you start to accelerate. It just feels like, you know how, I don't know if you guys ever tried it, yet that you plugged in electricity and something is wet or is not working and you just get electric shock. That's how you would feel in your body. And then you start to feel really light. You become feeling like a feather, like you're weightless. And then you sometimes feel like you are so light, like for instance, you laying down on water and you're laying down over one of those, what do you call it? What do you call those things, Dylan? The mattress, or what you lay down over the water? la 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 la, we don't remember. So you know what I mean, you know, you go to the pool and you just put that plastic and it keeps hold you up the water, and it just feel like you feel so light, and it just feel like somebody lightly pulling that, and then you start to raise. You feel like your physical body is just moving up. And how far you go at the beginning, people can just travel till like the ceiling, and then you're able to see. It's just like you are hanging upside down from the ceiling, looking down, and you're seeing your physical body that is laying down there. So the more you do this, the quicker you move up. And I had experiences that I just, in a matter of second, I just travel, shift up, leave the house, leave the planet Earth, and keep moving, going back up and up and up. But here's the story that I want to tell you that it might be interesting to you. I remember it was almost a year ago, I was doing my show. That morning I got guided in my daily meditation that I should go and start my show with meditation. And as I mentioned before, since I always announce in the morning that I am a server, how may I serve? So in my daily meditation, I always hear, what's the next step? So that day I was told to start your show with meditation, and no rejection, okay. So I went in to do my show, they set up the camera. Suddenly I came to my head, oh my God, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna do this? And it was just like, you know, somebody just knocks you out, and I just took out. And then I didn't feel anything. I would say I didn't know, because they pointed at me that my show was over. For 50 minutes, suddenly I open my eyes. The first thing I see the monitor. I have tears running from my eyes. My mascara is running down, and I'm in front of national television. So very lightly, I started to clean up my tears, and that was it. After that, people start calling me, the emails was coming, oh my God, that was so powerful, that was so effective. And that was the beginning for me to do meditation DVDs and CDs, and then meditation for weight loss, and then meditation for self-love. Everything came after. But what I'm saying is, when we allow to be guided and get out of the way and let the Spirit to do the work for us, everything becomes effortlessly and beautifully and easily done. So then I had a training. I was supposed to do a personal training a couple of hours after my show. So I got home, I wasn't still myself, my head was kind of like drowsy. So I picked up the phone and called this unknown lady who was hiring me to coach her as a personal trainer. And I told her that, I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling really great. I need to find myself. So could we extend that to another hour? And she says, oh my God, that is perfectly okay. I cried so much with you. I said, were you watching the show? And she goes, yeah. And that was the television that wasn't even airing in the US. I said, but you live in US, right? She said, yeah. I said, how do you watch that? She says, oh, over the internet. Because of your show, I had these people to come and set up the system so I can watch your show over the internet. So anyways, to make the story short, I walked into this lady's house. She opened the door and I said, how do I know you? She says, you don't know me. I know you from your show. But something was telling me that I know this lady. So we sat down. She talked to me for 2.5 hours. She called her children by their name, like Cheyenne, Shada, like, you know, usually you say my son or my daughter when you see somebody for the first time. But she was talking about them like I already knew who these people were. So anyways, after that I left. We happened to be friends. And one night we were out at a restaurant with her husband and her. Suddenly she said to her husband, do you remember that drawing I made of my mother? How much she looks like her? And her husband was like, oh my God, yeah, exactly. So that night I went to have a projection. I had an out-of-body experience, and I asked the question as I went out if at any point or time I was her mother. And after the third time, I got confirmation, yes. The minute I heard the voice, yes, boom, I traveled into this gorgeous white marble exclusive house. I saw a little girl with dark hair, braid, really skinny and tiny, like 7 years old, and suddenly I felt in my physical body that it was like, I don't know how many tons of weight on my chest, and I'm having a heart attack. So I jumped from my projection and I just sat there for a few minutes. Then I went and I picked up the phone and I said, "Are you driving?" She says, "Yes." I said, "Pull aside." And I asked her, I said, "Did your mother pass away from heart attack?" And she goes, "Oh my God, yes." And she started crying. And she said, "You saw her?" And I said, "Were you very skinny with black hair? Was your house really exclusive, like white marble?" And she stopped and she was crying that, "Oh my God, you went there." So if you guys are skeptical, I totally understand. I was one of those people who didn't believe any of this stuff. To me, it was just a bunch of jumbo bumbo stuffs. But today I believe it, because when I start to take courses and when I felt it, when I experienced it, then it became real. And I tell you today, it doesn't matter if any of you guys believe it or not, but one thing that is I am sure about, that although I got to a stage that I see so much things, I feel and hear that ordinary people don't. I know, I am so sure there is so much more that even at this stage I don't see or I don't feel. So what to believe is not to believe anything, because whatever we feel with our six senses are not truths. They're not telling us the truth. It's all lie. What you feel as reality is nothing even close to reality. So at this time, I'm going to say goodbye to all of you. I hope you guys enjoyed this program as much as I did. And stay tuned for next week, another truth-telling about me, something that I didn't like about myself, and I worked through it, and the struggles that I went through. And today I am at the point that I accepted all. Acceptance doesn't mean I still don't get irritated. Acceptance doesn't mean that it doesn't happen anymore. It just means that I look at it with a different eye now, which is much brighter and easier to look. I love you guys. Thanks for being with me. Stay tuned. Check me on Facebook. Love you.